to ask a question. If there is any question, you can go onto the Instagram page that is in my name. And if you go to the stories, the last story that has been posted has a link in where you can put your question. Once you put that question, it should appear in front of me, inshallah. And then that way I can see your question and answer it bi'idhnillah. Okay, so let me start off with just a hadith, a reminder. And that is that Salama radiyallahu anha, which is the wife of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, she narrated that when the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam would finish Salat al-Fajr, he would make a dua. He would say, Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a wa amalan aw rizqan tayyiba wa amalan mutaqabbala. This was a dua of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He would say it after Salat al-Fajr. So after finishing the adhkar of the prayer, this was the first dua he would say, and then he would recite the adhkar al-sabah, the morning supplication. This dua, he would say, Oh Allah, I ask you for beneficial knowledge and pure halal provision and for accepted righteous deeds. This dua here, it teaches us that these three matters that have just been mentioned are actually the goal of a believer during his day. So every single day, a Muslim wants to achieve these three matters. Every single day. This is the goal. This is the plan of the day. Number one, you want to seek something of beneficial knowledge. Number two, you want to seek a livelihood. You want to seek provision, and that is halal provision. Rizqan tayyiba wa amalan mutaqabbala. And you want to engage in righteous deeds that are accepted. These are the goals of the day. These are three matters. So the first one, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam would ask Allah to grant him beneficial knowledge. That means this is a goal of the day. And so make sure every single day that you learn something new. And this session of Q&A is a means in how a person may gain beneficial knowledge. So you can attain beneficial knowledge in many ways. One of the ways is to read a book, to benefit something from a book, to listen to a lecture. And another way is to ask a question that you have, a confusion that you have, a doubt that you have about a matter you did not know about, to verify. And this is also a means in which a person may gain beneficial knowledge. So this was the aim of tonight's session. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us all. I'll give you the opportunity, my brothers, those that are sitting among us. If you have any question, you may go ahead and ask your question. Anyone here on the floor with us from the brothers has a question, and ask. Don't be shy. Because sometimes what I notice is we give opportunity to ask a question. And then almost everyone has a question, but he holds it. Once the lesson is finished, they come and they ask. Why? And when you ask a question, I would wish and I hope that that question was asked in public for others to benefit and learn from. So asking a question after the lesson tonight will be selfish. So if you have a question, raise your hand and ask it, intending that you benefit from it, and others bi'idhnillahi ta'ala may benefit from your question as well. Now, I have many questions here, but I wanted to give the opportunity here bi'idhnillah. Tfaddal akhi. ايش علاقة الآية بالسؤال؟ Now, so the brother is asking about the ruling concerning making dua for prosperity and fruition and advancement for a country that has established other than Allah's law, for a country that worships other than Allah, for a country that commits and adheres to a religion other than Islam. Brother is asking, is it permissible to be in a land, a land of Christians, and make dua that Allah Azza wa Jal give prosperity to that land? So, my brothers and sisters in Islam, concerning this matter, when a person makes dua, he makes dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all beneficial matters. And this was Sunnat al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the land itself is a land that belongs to Allah. Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, إِنَّ الْأَرْضَ لِلَّهِ يُورِثُهَا مَن يَشَاءُ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ. The land belongs to Allah Azza wa Jal. And our purpose on earth is to spread Islam on this earth so that the entire world becomes a land of Islam and people become Muslims. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, حَتَّى يَكُونَ الدِّينُ كُلُّهُ لِلَّهِ. So that's the idea. So the idea is the land is for Allah Azza wa Jal. It belongs to Allah. And from time to time, there are people that would come, settle in parts of the land, have authority over it, they rule over it with disbelief. Some other lands, it's ruled with Islam. Some other lands, whatever law they rule over, whatever the case is, the believer makes dua. There's no issue in making dua that Allah Azza wa Jal grant the believers in that land prosperity and goodness. So a person may ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He grant the believers goodness and prosperity in their deen and in their afterlife and in their ma'ash, in their worldly life. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to say, Allahumma inni as'aluka al-afiyah fi dini wa dunyai. And this is a dua that we make. Whether you live here, you live somewhere else, wherever you live on earth, you make a dua that Allah Azza wa Jal grant you goodness and blessings and prosperity. So there's no issue concerning this matter to ask Allah Azza wa Jal for goodness wherever you are. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says in the Quran, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Our Lord, grant us goodness in this worldly life. And the goodness of this worldly life includes all forms of goodness, of halal provision, a righteous spouse, righteous children. All of this is included in the hasanatud dunya. And anta as a believer, you're living among the people, and you also want to live, and you want to seek goodness from Allah Azza wa Jal. So you do that, and you ask Allah Azza wa Jal to save you from the evil and the fitan and the corruption that is around you. Wallahu a'lam. Naam. Anyone else? Tfaddal. Allah يجزيك الخير. We'll leave that inshallah. يلا, we'll get questions first. Allah يبارك فيك. يلا تفضل. تفضل يا أخي. So brother is asking about al-Iman. How does one elevate his Iman or maintain his Iman? There are three things essentially that you're supposed to be doing to maintain that level of Iman and continue to make it rise. Number one, attending al-masajid regularly. That's number one. That has to be a part of the Muslim's life. Attends al-masajid regularly and prays as-salat among the believers. Because the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said that the heaviest prayers upon the munafiq is salat al-fajr and salat al-isha. So if a person is praying salat al-fajr and salat al-isha in the masjid, he's saving himself from hypocrisy. As a result, he's proven to himself that he has the opposite, which is Iman. So he's maintaining his Iman. Number two is to seek knowledge. It's impossible to maintain your Iman and for the Iman to rise if you're not seeking knowledge. Every single day you must seek something of the knowledge. And the knowledge, it teaches you about Allah, It teaches you about the laws of Allah, the commandments of Allah, the prohibitions of Allah. And you begin to worship Allah Azza wa Jal upon clarity, upon guidance. And as a result, your Iman increases. How do you expect to maintain Iman and Iman go on the rise if you're not learning anything? And you're not learning who Allah Azza wa Jal is, and His names, and His attributes, and His laws, and His word. If you're not learning this, Iman is going to stick where it is and start dropping. And this is why in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, during his lifetime, Al-Quran would continuously come down. Over 23 years, Al-Quran would come down. Why? Why would the Quran come down over 23 years and not come down as a whole? Like At-Tawrah, Wal-Injil, and the books of the past. They came down as one. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said, وقال الذين كفروا لولا نزل عليه القرآن جملة واحدة كذلك لنثبت به فؤادك. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said that the disbelievers would ask and they would wonder, why didn't this Quran come down as one whole, one big book just come down? Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said, لنثبت به فؤادك, so that we can give your heart steadfastness and commitment upon Iman. So when the Quran would come down in stages, every day something would come down of the Quran, the reason for this was to maintain al-Iman and to increase it. Therefore, seeking knowledge would maintain al-Iman and increase it. And number 3, to be among righteous companionship, to be among righteous company, that your friends are to be good people, good Muslims. So these 3 things, if you have them in your life, then alhamdulillah, a person would be fine, he would be healthy in his Iman, he'll be able to commit upon goodness, and he'll increase in his goodness, and Allah Azza wa Jal would save him from evil and corruption. But if these 3 things are missing in your life, or one of the 3 are missing, then you're in danger. Imagine a person, his friends are bad influence, doesn't attend the masjid, doesn't learn. How's his Iman going to be maintained? It's very difficult. Therefore, that's the recipe. These 3 matters, and inshallah ta'ala, a person's Iman would be on the rise and maintained. Allahu a'lam. Tfaddal ya akhi, Allah. Okay, Jayyid. So the brother here is asking, is it permissible to be a friend to a disbeliever, even if this disbeliever doesn't push his religion upon you? So in Islam, there are levels of friendship. You with me? There's levels of friendship. So there's something known as friendship for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Friendship for the sake of Allah can only be among the believers. Allah Azza wa Jal, He said in the Quran, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. It is only the believers that are brothers to each other. So now, all Muslims across the world are my brothers in Islam and my sisters in Islam, and we love them for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. And that relationship between you and I as Muslims, and I say I love you for Allah's sake, and I seek closeness to Allah because of the fact that I love you for Allah, right? So that can only be for the believers. I cannot love a disbeliever for the sake of Allah. This is not allowed. Because Allah Azza wa Jal did not allow this. Allah said, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. Only the believers are brothers of each other, and they have this love between them. Then the other type of friendship, there is something known as a natural friendship. Like you like someone naturally, someone is a friend of yours. You went to school with someone, you got to know them in school. Then later on, that relationship continued after school, a work colleague. And so you say, yeah, he's a friend of mine, a worldly friend. There's no problems to say that this disbeliever is a worldly friend of mine. No issue here, right? Because this is a worldly matter. And on this basis, it would be permissible, right? But a person should always strive to spread the goodness that he has with those of the non-Muslims that he has as friends. So when you have al-Islam and you have friends that are non-Muslims, then your aim and your goal is to try to preach to them the message of Islam, right? That's your aim and your goal in that relationship. And if this person became a Muslim because of you, then there's a lot of goodness in that for you. Imagine he becomes Muslim and his family accepts Islam because of him, and his generation and children to come of generations and generations, they all are Muslims because of you. And there's so much goodness and so much reward in this. When Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لَأَن يَهْدِيَ اللَّهُ بِكَ رَجُلًا وَاحِدًا خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنْ حُمْرِ النَّعَمِ. If Allah Azza wa Jal was to guide one person through you, it would be much better than owning red camels, which are an expensive commodity at the time and even today. So the idea is, a worldly friendship is fine, but a religious friendship that can only be between the believers. Wallahu a'lam. نعم تفضل. نعم. Okay, let's answer the first one first. The brother is asking about Salat al-Jumu'ah. If he's at school or someone is somewhere in some location where he's not able to attend Salat al-Jumu'ah due to the fact that there is no masjid close by to him, or whatever the case may be. Shuf, my brothers in Islam, because this is for the brothers, Salat al-Jumu'ah is wajib, and it must be attended by males that are over the age of puberty, and it must be prayed in the masjid in congregation. Fundamentally, this is how Salat al-Jumu'ah must be conducted. If a person, and a person, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned that if a person was to miss Salat al-Jumu'ah 3 times, then his heart becomes black. Every time you miss it, that's a third of the heart becoming black. 3 missed, the entire heart becomes black and corrupted. So the matter is a big deal. Wallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, إِذَا نُودِيَ لِلصَّلَاةِ مِنْ يَوْمِ الْجُمُعَةِ فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعَ. That if the call on a Friday was made, then rush to remembrance of Allah. Rush to Salat al-Jumu'ah. He called it remembrance of Allah because it's not only Salat, there's also knowledge that's being shared within this Salat al-Jumu'ah. وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعَ. And leave off buying and selling. Leave off business. See, Allah Azza wa Jal, He knows that the people at that time are working and they are busy with worldly matters. So Allah Azza wa Jal didn't say, for example, leave off sleep or something else. He said, leave trade, because that's what people usually do during the day. So there's a specific command to leave worldly matters and rush to Salat al-Jumu'ah. So questions like, and I'll get to yours, questions like, I have work. Well, Allah is telling you leave work. So it can never be an excuse to say, okay, brother, you got work on Friday, so you're excused, no problems. You can pray dhuhr on that day and you're fine. No, it's not allowed. Allah specifically said leave work. Khalas, that's it. That means that cannot be used as an excuse. So we leave work and we attend Salat al-Jumu'ah. And concerning people that aren't able to come to the masjid, genuinely, like people in school, they're stuck on a Friday in school. So what do we do? The second best option here is to have a congregation at school and you pray Salat al-Jumu'ah. And the minimum, 3 people. So if there is one imam that stands and 2 people that are sitting, then that is the bare minimum that is accepted. Less than that is not accepted as a Salat al-Jumu'ah, even though there are different of opinion, or there is a difference of opinion concerning this matter, but this would be a start. So if there is 10, 15 of you, and someone stands and gives a khutbah, learns the etiquette of the khutbah, the manners of the khutbah, and how a khutbah is supposed to be conducted, then he may do so. But that's only a temporary solution. Otherwise, you must be working on attending Salat al-Jumu'ah in the masjid. And if a person was far away from the masjid and he was alone by himself, he had no one, in that case, he'll pray Salat al-Dhuhr 4 rak'at. It depends. If he's a musafir, if he's a traveler, then he's going to pray Salat al-Dhuhr 2 rak'at and so on. Now, تفضل. Someone had a question there? تفضل أخي. Yes. جيد. Okay, so this is what we said. If a person is, for example, sick, he's in hospital, as the brother asked, he doesn't have Jum'ah on him. He prays Salat al-Dhuhr, 4 rak'at, Salat al-Dhuhr 4 rak'at, according to the situation that he's in. If he's able to stand and pray, that has its rulings. But for him, Salat al-Jum'ah there'll be an excuse for him. So he doesn't have to attend al-masjid if he is unable to do so. If a person is in prison, a person is in jail by himself, and there's no congregation that is formed, khalas, he prays Salat al-Dhuhr. He does not pray Salat al-Jum'ah, he'll pray Salat al-Dhuhr, 4 rak'at, and he is excused in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, تفضل. Okay, so the brother is asking about the clear halal matters and the clear haram matters, and then there are matters in between. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, Al-halalu bayyin, wal-haramu bayyin, wa baynahuma umurun mushtabihat, la ya'lamuha kathirun min al-nas. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, halal matters are clear, and haram matters are clear. Yani there are halal and haram in Islam that are clear. For example, alcohol. No two people disagree that alcohol in Islam is haram. And permissible matters are very clear as well. No one in Islam would differ that vegetables are halal, for example. So there are matters that are clear. Then there are matters that are in between. They are unclear. They are known as ash-shubuhat, matters of doubt. Brother is asking, what do we do concerning these matters? Very simple, follow the advice of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the very same hadith. فَمَنِ اتَّقَى الشُّبُهَاتِ فَقَدْ اسْتَبْرَأَ لِدِينِهِ وَعِرْضِهِ. Fundamentally, whenever there is a matter that is unclear to you, you keep away from it. You keep away from it. Until you ask about it and you get a solid, certain answer as to whether it's halal or haram. Then and only you engage with this matter. That's fundamentally the advice of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So it doesn't come from me. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, it is better for your religion to keep away from doubtful matters. And doubtful matters could differ from person to person. You might have a doubtful matter that perhaps is not doubtful to him because he's already sought the knowledge about it and seen whether it's halal or haram. So if you're ever faced with a doubtful matter, I don't know, is this halal, is this haram, I'm not sure. I've heard someone say this, I've heard someone say that, I'm not sure. Fundamentally, keep away from it. That's the best thing to do. That's you're following the advice of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Safer for your deen and safer for your Iman. Then go and seek an answer. Ask and you'll get your answer. Once you get the answer and it's clear, then follow the answer that you receive. Naam. And that's for every matter. You should be doing that in matters that you're confused about. Naam. Wallahu alam. Okay, so the brother is asking about Islamic mortgages, whether they are halal or not. You see, the matter is this. Who labeled them as Islamic? And what makes a mortgage Islamic? These are the questions that we're supposed to ask. So there are many Islamic banks that would claim our mortgage is halal, our loan is halal. And they become part of these masail al-shubuhat, unclear matters. People will come out to condemn these contracts. People will come to support them. And the general Muslim is sitting confused. What do I do? We should know and understand that when the world was colonized, the Western world, and the banking systems were introduced, they were all built upon interest, with riba. So all Western countries, their banking system is infused with riba, right? When Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says at the end of time that almost all people will be tainted with riba, whether they know about it or they don't know about it. This is a sign of the hour. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to save us. But the idea is, when an Islamic bank opens in a Western country, it has to have something of riba in it. It's impossible to strip it away and make it pure, clearly 100% halal. So I asked Sheikh Bilal Phillips concerning this matter. If you know Sheikh Bilal Phillips, I was with him a few weeks ago and I asked him about this matter. And I said to him, Sheikh, what is the actual solution for this? Because Muslims that live in the West, they also face their issues and their challenges and their problems concerning financial matters and housing and rent and buying and so on. Sheikh, Jazallah khair, he has a course on Islamic banking and finance on his website. This is one of the courses he offers, Islamic banking and finance. And he recommends that the general Muslims go onto his website, online Islamic University, and to register to that one course and to study that one course to understand what is permissible to go ahead with, what is forbidden to keep away from, and what is mixed with halal and haram, and it is okay for a believer to go ahead with, right? So he encouraged the believers to support the Islamic banks. And he said even if a person ends up paying a lot more than the conventional bank, he said it's trying to offer a halal solution, and its terms and conditions would be much more halal than the traditional banks that are non-Islamic. So he, in his opinion, he supports that matter, and he encourages Muslims to go ahead with that. Wallahu a'lam. For me, what I would suggest is, I would say, if anyone wants to deal with an Islamic bank for a loan or something, contact their office and ask them. Ask them if they have a Sharia board that is active, that is auditing the contracts. And if that's the case, they have a Sharia board and it oversees, looks into these contracts, audits the contracts from time to time and approve them and tick them and say halal. Khalas, then it's halal. These are people that are learned, they're scholars, they are experts in that field, and they are looking into these contracts and they are verifying them. But if this office says to you, Allah, we don't have any Sharia board, and we had a Sharia board long time ago, they approved our initial contracts and we never followed through with them, then I might as well keep away from them, because Allahu A'lam where they're up to at that very moment. So perhaps this can solve an issue. Now. Jayyid. Okay, brother is asking about haircuts, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam forbid from the haircuts something known as al-qaza'. Al-qaza'. This is what he forbid sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the correct definition of al-qaza' is to cut some of the hair and to leave other parts of the hair. That is what is forbidden. So let's say you've got the hair clippers and you run it across your hair on the side. So you run the clippers on the side of the head, and you did not run it over the head. هذا haram. This is not allowed, because you cut some and you left some. But if you were to do those step cuts that the people, or the fade or the blend, so the clippers would run across the head from the top on a specific number, let's say number 3, then number 2 here, then number 1 down the bottom, that's fine. Because at least you ran the clippers across the entire head. So that's not considered qaza' anymore. So what is forbidden of these haircuts is to cut some and not run the blade on other parts. Completely not run the blade on other parts. That's what would be forbidden, wallahu a'lam. And also add to that list, haircuts that are specific for the disbelievers and for the rebellious sinners. So there are sometimes rebellious sinners that are known, singers, actors, dancers, whatever, and they come up and they introduce a style of haircut to the people, right? And that would also not be permissible to follow them in, right? So if there is a style of haircut that has just come out and it's just a new fashion because some kafir, fasiq introduced it to the world, that would be impermissible to do, because now you're imitating a disbeliever and they are, this is a specific haircut for them. Na'am, wallahu a'lam. Tfaddal. So brother is saying, is it permissible to migrate from a non-Muslim country, from a Muslim country to a non-Muslim country? There's no such thing as a hijrah from a Muslim country to a kafir country. There's no such thing. Al-hijrah Al-hijrah, in the religious sense, it means moving from a kafir country to a Muslim country. The opposite is not called hijrah. It's called a travel. You're traveling. It's not called a hijrah. And so ulama, rahimahumullah, they put conditions. Let's say someone lives in a Muslim country and decided to come to a kafir country. Of course, the advice is do not come. Avoid this at all costs, because every Muslim country is better than every kafir country. For a Muslim, that's the fundamental rule. But now, if a person had to come for treatment, let's say, for studies, or for a job opportunity, or for education, or whatever it is, the people have different needs. Then the ulama, rahimahumullah, say, if a person has enough knowledge to protect him from doubts, and he has enough knowledge and Iman to protect him from evil temptations and desires and sins. Because remember, coming into non-Muslim land, there's alcohol, there's az-zina, there's ar-riba, there's haram, it's all over the place. Haram food, there's everything that is haram. So if you have enough knowledge to protect yourself from doubts and from desires and sins and so on, and the country you're going to allows you to practice your Islam in full and complete, so you're able to make al-adhan, witness the prayer in congregation, pray Salat al-Jumu'ah, al-Eid, fast Ramadan, and these great symbols of Islam, then in that case, it should be fine for you to come, do what you have to do, and go back to your country. No problems. Now, Allahu A'lam. Tfaddal. There's no issue. The brother is asking about khutbat al-Jumu'ah, if it was conducted in English. There is no problem for a khatib to stand and give a khutbah to the people in the English language. Because the point of a khutbah is for the people to come together and learn and benefit something and walk out with something. So if the people, the vast majority of people, they understand English, then the khutbah would most better be suited to be in English, and there's no issue concerning this whatsoever. Now, how do you know if being sincere? So, first and foremost, in order to be sincere, a person is supposed to have, if you're feeling an internal struggle within you, some of you is saying and encouraging you to be showing off, or to be to engage in ostentation concerning this deed that you're doing. So some of you wants to show off this sin, this deed, and another part of you is fighting that. It's struggling against it, and it's encouraging you to remain sincere. That's sincerity, because you will never have a 100% feeling of pure sincerity. That doesn't happen. For a believer, shaitan is always there to corrupt your deed. So shaitan will corrupt it, and the first way in how he corrupts it is to make you show off that deed. So he comes and he whispers to you, your deed is not sincere. It wasn't done for Allah. You did it for such and such. These thoughts start to develop in your mind and in your heart. They're coming from a shaitan. So if your good side is saying, La, this is sincere. La, bi'idhnillah, I ask Allah sincerity. Allahumma ruzuqni al-ikhlas. Oh Allah, protect me from insincerity. If that's you, if that's your battle, that is sincerity. You got it? But if you're just happy with the feeling of showing off, then that's insincerity. If I ask you, brother, is this deed, are you doing it for Allah? You said, no, I'm not doing it for Allah, I'm doing it for the people. Khalas, then that means this is showing off 100%, and that deed is cancelled and nullified. But if I was to ask you, brother, are you sincere in your deed? Oh, wallah, I'm trying my best. I'm indeed sincere, wallah, I'm not doing it for the people. That's sincerity. That's sincerity. So that struggle that you will find within yourself to remain sincere, that's a sign of sincerity. Otherwise, there's no such thing as, I'm 100% confident that my deed is sincere. Yes, and that becomes showing off, right? And that becomes arrogance. If you believe that you are 100% sincere in your action, then that's arrogance, right? And that kind of feeling requires sincerity in itself. So the idea is we continuously ask Allah to grant us with sincerity and to keep us away from showing off. This is a dua that we're making, right? This is a dua Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would teach us. So, if that internal battle is there, that's a sign of sincerity. Now, تفضل. Brother is asking, when is it permissible to cut the ties of kinship? Fundamentally, when we answer this, under no circumstance whatsoever is a person allowed to cut ties with his kinship. Simply because it is Allah Azza wa Jal who created this bond and He created this connection. Whether you like it or not, Allah Azza wa Jal created it and you have to deal with it. So the real question is, you'll present your situation and you'll say, how do I deal with my kinship, with my relatives concerning this matter that is now between me and them, right? And look, for example, Nuh alayhi salam, his son died a kafir. Nuh alayhi salam would make a dua and say, Rabbi inna ibni min ahli. My Lord, this is my son and he is from my family. It is only until Allah said to him, he is not part of your family anymore. Allah cut that relationship. Allah cut it between Nuh and his son. We don't have any wahi that came to us singly, individually and told us, now you can cut your relationship with such and such. So fundamentally, it's not allowed to cut any relationship. Rather, the Islamic advice would be how to deal with these people. And perhaps with family members, if they've become a bad influence upon yourself, upon your children, upon your family, and you've seen that and it's proven, then you can create boundaries. There are boundaries that you can create, no problems. And these boundaries could be placed so that you can protect yourself from the evilness. Because at the end of the day, okay, even if they're your mother, your father, your children, whoever it is, I'm not allowed to expose myself to corruption and evilness, especially if I know that it will have a bad effect on me. I need to protect my deen first and foremost before anything. So we do that. Now, and maintaining ties with relatives doesn't happen in only one way, and that is to see them face to face. If seeing them face to face is a problem, and it's triggering, and people are all different sorts. Yani, you might have someone that has been sexually abused by his grandfather. Wallah, we've received cases like this before, and I've heard plenty of matters like this. And he said, this is my grandfather. If I see him, I start shaking. Why? I have panic attacks. How do you expect me to maintain ties with my grandfather when that's the case? We say, Akhi, that's not the case. Seeing him face to face, you can cut that off, no problems. If that's how you're feeling, cut it off. Move on to something else. Maintaining ties with relatives could be face to face, could be a phone call, could be a message, it could be a dua to them. You can send them a letter, you can send them something on the day of Eid. There's many ways, many forms. You're not limited to one form. So you see what best suits you. And you maintain your relationship with these close relatives according to what suits you of these means. And then the frequency, there's nothing in Islam that mentions something about the frequency of maintaining ties with relatives. So there's no hadith or any teaching that says it has to be once every day or once every week, once every month. Rather, we go back to customary practice on this. Usually people, they maintain ties with their, let's say, grandparents how often? Once every week, once every 2 weeks, then that would be the case. Usually children, after they get married, they move out of their parents' house, they maintain ties with their parents. Once a week, they go for a barbecue or something. Khalas, that's what would be the advice on that matter. Now, so it will depend on the situation and what it is, and that's how a person gets more specific advice concerning how he maintains ties with those relatives. Now, sorry? If a person has debt, can he perform Hajj? By consensus of al-ulama, if a person has debt and conducted Hajj, then his Hajj is correct and it is valid. There is no problem in that. And if you have a debt that is owed to, for example, let's say you're saying a bank here, then you're paying off your debt as time goes by, so they don't care and there's no issue. You can use money that you've saved up to do al-Hajj. But if you owe someone debt, a brother, and your debt, it's due before the Hajj. In this case, you're advised to seek his permission. So you go to the brother and you say, brother, I owe you such and such money, and I have that money saved and I want to go Hajj with it. Do you give me permission to go Hajj with it, or do you need your money? If he needs his money, give him his money. Khalas. And if there's no Hajj upon you for that year, try to work it out for next year. But if he says, brother, I'll give you an extension, no problems, pay me after Hajj. Khalas, use that money and go to Hajj. And if you owe a person money and the deadline is way after Hajj, then do Hajj with it, because you still got time to pay off your debt. Naam, Wallahu alam. Tfaddal. Okay. Jayyid, okay. Tamam. The question is understood. Can a person work as a delivery driver while delivering products that are haram and halal? Here, al-ulama, rahimahumullah, they say al-hukmu lil-ghalib. The ruling is given based on the majority of the work. If the majority of your work is delivering halal products and items, then the job is halal. If the majority of your work is delivering haram items and products, then that job is impermissible. Leave it and find something else. So the idea is, sometimes a delivery driver is delivering parcels, mails, whatever it is, it's all permissible. And then from time to time, he has alcohol bottles that he has to deliver. But that's not the majority of his work. That's a small percentage of his work throughout his week. In that case, that job would be permissible. Wallahu a'lam. The answer is very clear. If the majority of the work is haram, leave it. 60% is majority. Even 50% would be considered a majority. So you leave it for the sake of Allah. And if you left it for Allah's sake, Allah would replace you with something much better than that. You don't have to leave it immediately. Work out something first to secure yourself. And then once you find an alternative, drop this and move to this. Allahu a'lam. Now, okay, Shayyid. So the brother is asking about what is the opinion on credit cards, the points that are offered on the credit card and so on. First and foremost, credit cards are problematic for two reasons. Number one, the monthly fee that are paid, that is considered riba. Or the yearly fee that is paid for the credit card, that would be considered a riba, and that would be forbidden. The other thing is, when you sign a contract for a credit card, you're signing on a term and condition in which you agree, I will pay interest if I'm late in my payments. And that would be impermissible to sign on a term and condition that is forbidden. Then you might say, but my annual fee is waived. And then you might say that, okay, that condition of a riba, I get a guarantor for it. So if you have a guarantor, someone that guarantees your payments on time, then signing that condition would be fine. Then your question would be, those points that you're receiving. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, كُلُّ قَرْضٍ جَرَّ نَفْعًا فَهُوَ رِبَى. These points are riba, and it is haram to take them, because the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, every loan that draws with it a benefit, this benefit would be interest. Every loan, kullu qardin. So the credit card, when you use the credit card and you pay $10,000, initially that $10,000 you borrowed from the bank. It's borrowed money. Yes, you're going to pay it later on, but at that very moment it's borrowed. And that loan brought you a benefit. It brought you points. And that's exactly what the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said would be riba. Every loan that brings you benefits, that benefit of points, gifts, whatever it is, would be considered a riba. But if you earned these points from a debit card, which was your money being used, that's fine. There's no issue concerning that. Now, credit cards, keep away from them as best as you can. Unless the situation has become impossible, then based on everyone's situation, you seek a fatwa for that. But fundamentally, we keep away from credit cards. Now, of course, الوتر could be prayed at the beginning of the night, the middle of the night, the end of the night, and it's better to pray the witr at the end of the night. If a person feels that he might not wake up on time before Salat al-Fajr, then it's better for him to pray it at the beginning of the night. Once he prays it at the beginning of the night, if he indeed does get up 10-15 minutes before Salat al-Fajr, he can pray night prayer, but doesn't repeat the witr. Khalas, no more repetition of the witr. Na'am, wallahu alam. Okay. One more question from here, then I'm going to take a few questions from the sisters that we have here. تفضل. تفضل. جيد, أحسنت. That's a good question. The answer to this, Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى, and it is a condition that a person owns a zad in order to perform Hajj. A condition is to own a zad. What is a zad? The ulama rahimahumullah, they say money and transportation. So if a person has transportation that can get him to Mecca, and he has money that can get him there, now he has fulfilled one of the conditions of al-Hajj. Then they speak about this money situation in detail. And they say what is meant by money, al-fadl, that is in excess. So that means, if I have money, and if I go to al-Hajj for that, let's say the trip is 10-13 days, and I have enough money left behind to sustain my family and to sustain those that I am responsible to spend financially on, and that was the case, and I have extra money that can get me to Al-Hajj, I have to do Hajj. I have to do Hajj. You don't have to sell your business to do Hajj. You don't have to sell your car to do Hajj. You don't have to sell any of the necessities that you have to do Al-Hajj. This is not required in Islam. What Islam requires of you is the excess. So all your necessities you leave as they are. And the money that your family and those that you have to spend on, they have enough money to spend while you are away. Now there's excess, extra money above all that. Now this money has made it now for you wajib to go and do Al-Hajj, right? So that's the idea. And then don't worry about next year and the year after, and how am I going to take my wife next year? Every year for itself. If the situation, again next year, proves that his financial situation is easy and he can go, then go. If he can't, خلاص. ما في حج عليه anyway. There is no Hajj obligated upon a person that cannot do Hajj financially. Alhamdulillah. نعم. طيب وإياكم. يلا, let's first question we have here. It says, why is it compulsory for men to pray jama'ah but not compulsory for the female? ليش? Do we have a problem يعني? Allah Azza wa Jal is giving you a concession to pray at home, and the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has taught us that the best prayer of a woman is the prayer at home, and a woman that prays at home earns the exact same reward as the men that have to get up and dress and jump in the car and freeze in the cold and come to the masjid and line up and pray and then talk to others and then go back home, and by then he's got a big headache. All of this a man has to do to attain the reward of jama'ah, and that very same reward a woman earns it sitting and praying in the comfort of her home. So the idea is we are grateful to Allah Azza wa Jal for this matter and say Alhamdulillah. Now, and then a woman doesn't pray every day of the year. there are days in which she skips. And it is difficult upon a woman. Imagine Al-Islam obligated upon a woman to pray in jama'ah. That would be a burden. That would be a difficulty, and that would be impossible. Because women are in different situations. Imagine we have a woman that's pregnant, right? And then she gave birth, and she's breastfeeding. And then her child wakes up at night, and then he wants to breastfeed. And then the Salat al-Jama'ah, and then it's compulsory for her to come to... How is this going to be possible? Impossible. It's going to be impossible for a woman to pray in congregation in the same manner men pray in congregation. So due to the woman's situation, Allah Azza wa Jal lightened that burden and made the best prayer of a woman in her home. Next question here coming from a sister. Can we give interest money received to poor countries like Yemen? Yes. If a person receives interest money in his account and so on, he is not allowed to give that as a donation. Rather, he has to give it as getting rid of it with that intention. So you take out from your account the interest money that has been accumulated and you get rid of it. Not with the intention of seeking reward and the intention of a sadaqah, in the intention of getting rid of it. In that case, then you can give it to al-masjid, to the poor in Yemen, for example, here. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to ease their affairs and situation, and that would be permissible. There's no issue concerning this. Now, طيب. We have another question here. Is being fat haram? Wallahi, I don't know. This is a question. It is a question. Of course, you follow the prophetic advice on eating, and inshallah you'll never be fat. And that is a third for your food, or a third for drink, and a third for air. And that's fine. That would keep you in shape. But to say fat haram, la. There is no dalil to say that this would be haram. Now, okay, so another question here. While praying and in sujood, what is the ruling on how the feet should be positioned? So there are two opinions. When you're in sujood, how should your feet be from behind? Two opinions. One opinion says that they are supposed to be together. So you bring your feet together while you're in sujood, right? You know how that is done? And the other opinion is that while you're in sujood, your feet are apart in the same manner they were apart when you were standing and you were in ruku'. And so nothing changes when you are in sujood. With Sheikh Ibn Baz rahimahullah, he supported this opinion over the first opinion, because there is nothing authentic that mentions the feet are to come together. But if you brought the feet together, that is a valid opinion, no problems. But wallahu a'lam, what is stronger and better to follow is that in sujood, that your feet are apart, just like they were apart when you were standing and you were in ruku'. And there's nothing that says it should change when you're in sujood. So you have this opinion and you have this opinion. Both are correct. So don't go looking for someone that has them together and say you're wrong, or someone that has them apart and say you're wrong. Whoever does that is wrong. Keep them apart, together. There is absolutely no issue concerning this. A question here says, can I do wudu if my makeup is minimal? So the idea is, whether it's minimal or not, the question should be, can the water penetrate to the skin? If water cannot penetrate to the skin, then that makeup must be removed in order for the wudu to be valid. So if it's minimal and the water can actually reach the skin, then there is no issue concerning this. But you need to make sure of these products, whether they allow water to get to the skin or not. If they don't, then it must be removed. And that's the same as the nail polish. You know, there are people and companies that came out with something called halal nail polish. هو أصلا nail polish is halal without labeling it halal. But what they meant by this is that it's wudu friendly. And this is very doubtful. there is a huge question mark concerning this claim of wudu-friendly nail polish. So the advice is, keep away from anything that is labeled as wudu-friendly nail polish, because the water will actually not reach the nail. And as a result, the wudu is invalid, the salat is invalid. Huge matter. So now be careful of this. And that apply now. It has to be removed, because I was just about to say that ruling is not limited only for women, it extends also to men, to anyone who has something that covers the skin of the limbs of wudu. So if I've applied zinc to your skin from the sun, that must be removed first and foremost. If you're a painter and paint has reached and covered your hand, and paint, it prevents water from reaching the skin. It must be scrubbed off. You must take off the paint first. If you're working in bread and you're doing the ajeen, the dough, and it sticks to your hand, and you must wash it off, remove it, because this doesn't allow water to penetrate. And then you make wudu, and then your wudu is valid and your salat is valid. Now, there's another question here that says, are celebrating birthdays haram? What can we do on these days? Celebrating birthdays are yearly events. And this is what makes it haram. It's a yearly event. When Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam allowed us to celebrate 2 days of the year. They are known as Eid al-Adha or Eid al-Fitr. Well, Eid is called a Eid because it repeats. Yu'ad. Eid in Arabic literally means for something to be repeated. So to take a specific day and to repeat a celebration on that day, that requires dalil. That requires dalil. So we do Eid al-Fitr or Eid al-Adha because there's dalil for this when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam legislated this matter. But now when you appoint the day of your birthday and you say every single year, I am going to celebrate on this day for the occasion of my birth, then that is impermissible. That's an innovation. You've come up with something in which Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not legislate for us. And the fact that you're pinpointing that day and you're repeating the celebration every year on that day, this is what makes it forbidden. And then the other thing is, subhanAllah, you notice among the people, the only halal and encouraged and recommended celebration of a child concerning his birthday is the day he is born. Right? And that is related to al-aqiqah, to slaughter a sheep if it was a girl, or to slaughter 2 sheep if it was a boy, to invite the people for a big meal, to eat, to celebrate the occasion of the birth of this child. Yet, what do we realize and find from what people do? Like, al-aqiqah, khalas, just open an app, sadaqah, 2 sheep to Africa, yallah. And gone, okay. But then, on the birthday, birthday. We're going to make the cake, we're going to bring the people over. Ya akhi, taib, send your cake as well to Africa as well. And send it to the poor countries. They want to eat a cake as well. Subhanallah, how the shaitan has fooled mankind. A sunnah and the recommended deed, and that is the aqiqah, and bring the people 100% sunnah. Send it. And when it comes to something that has nothing to do with the deen, bring the people, gather them. This is why they say a sign of a bid'ah is when there's too many shoes outside the door. Right? People congregate for al-bid'ah. Was sunan, people are very careless when it comes to وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. That's the vast majority of people. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to save us from this matter. But be aware of this. And I wanted to bring it to your attention so that you're aware of it. And so you know that the barakah is in a sunnah. And every evil and corruption is in other than a sunnah. And if birthdays were a recommended matter, then the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam would have done it for himself. He would have done it for his own children. The Sahaba would have done it and practiced it among their children and so on. And no one ever did this for himself. But the matter is that you're repeating it every year. This is where the problem is. It's not a matter of I'm not doing this as a ibadah. The issue is once it's become every single year, do you have daleel to be doing this every single year on this day? That's where it becomes problematic, right? Now, of course, because that's now involving yourself in the celebration. So saying happy birthday and bringing them gifts on their birthdays and so on, keep away from everything that is related to birthdays. Then keep away from it. Keep away from it. Because one will drag to another. You got it? Naam. So it's better to keep away from this matter. Naam. Wallahu alam. طيب. Okay, let's continue our questions here. We have a question that's come through. It says, in regards to the position of the feet, I've heard that the feet can be curled under so the toes are touching the floor. Yes, there's no issue concerning this, no problems. طيب. Local sheikhs have given fatwa to take home loans. Will I be sinful for that? Revise and go back to your local sheikhs and seek their opinion if they are trusted among you people. And I think, of course, that is the case here, inshallah. Then, yes, take their opinion and their fatwa now. Is it haram? Sorry, where's the question? Is it haram to do IVF for pregnancy? So, what we're going to say is that fundamentally, conceiving should be natural. This is what Islam recommends, and this is the default position. And this is what humans have practiced from the very first human until a while ago when this technology was invented. If a couple have tried and they've done everything to conceive naturally and nothing has happened, then al-ulama rahimahumullah mention that if their desire is to have a child and they are both on the same page and they are both willing and accepting this matter, and it's not allowed for one spouse to deny if the other wants. So if a woman was to say that she wants a child, it is haram for the husband to deny. And if the husband says he wants a child and expresses his desire for this matter, it is haram for the wife to deny. Impermissible. Both of them have to be on the same page when it comes to this matter. So they've done everything naturally and it hasn't happened for a few years. In that case, and only in that case, they are allowed to undergo IVF with strict conditions, making sure that what is taken from the husband is used on what is taken from his wife. So it must be in strict and controlled environment, making sure that the doctors are trustworthy and that things don't get mixed around, because this could be one of the major problems in this industry. And the IVF industry has created a very good name for itself, right? And so one thing that you're supposed to be very careful of is that what comes from the husband is supposed to be mixed with what came from his wife and no one else. It is not allowed to take from a wife and then use from some other person that has donated his matter. That would be impermissible, right? So if that's in that kind of environment and it is controlled and both the husband and wife agree to it, then that would be permissible. Now, and if they can afford it, it would be permissible and there is no issue concerning that. But you need to make sure that the process is done correctly. Bye. If someone is driving unlawfully and has an accident and passes away, is this considered suicide? So someone is driving down the highway, trying out his new car, driving at 150, and all of a sudden hits the pole and he dies. Is that considered suicide or not? So if we brought him back to life and we asked him, brother, did you intend to commit suicide? He says, no, therefore it is not suicide. Suicide is only when a person intends to kill himself, and that would be the major sin and what is forbidden. However, this person would be sinful because he put himself in danger and he brought harm upon himself, but it would not be considered suicide. Now, is it permissible to bleach the eyebrows as a replacement for plucking, seeing as no hair is being removed? Bleaching the eyebrows is permissible. There is no issue concerning this matter, but any woman who bleaches her eyebrows must be careful, because if seen from a distance, it would look like it has been plucked. So then you'll bring doubts and question marks upon yourself. And perhaps people, especially if this is from a religious woman, known for her obedience to Allah and His Messenger, if other sisters saw her, they might say, oh look, she plucked her eyebrows and it's permissible, not knowing that you bleached them. So that could be an issue. But if they were bleached and you took care of covering it, for example, so that you don't expose yourself to becoming a doubtful matter among the people, then that should be fine, no problems. طيب. Being a revert and cutting ties because the family is not accepting, is that haram? So this is a difficult situation for the reverts, and this is why their reward is double. يعني Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, أولئك يؤتون أجرهم مرتين بما صبروا. People that come from a Christian or a Jewish background and they embrace Islam, for the rest of their life, every deed they do, they earn twice the reward as people that were born as Muslims. And that's because of their patience that they have to endure, and the patience that they have to keep up with when dealing with their family members and others in the community. So there is great reward in this. But to cut ties, no, we don't encourage cutting ties of any sort. As I said before, unless there is harm or there is a specific situation here, then you're supposed to present your situation and seek specific individual advice concerning your situation. Otherwise, a revert is encouraged from time to time to go back to his family members, his relatives, and invite them to the very same message that he or she embraced. And if he's invited them once and twice and they don't want to bar of it and they don't want to hear it anymore and they've cursed you and they've slammed the door at you, khalas, you don't have to always be in front of their face inviting them to Islam. Just leave your door open, and that I'm approachable. Anytime you'd like to contact me and speak to me about what my new faith is, then I'm all for it, no problems. And leave it at that. Khalas, you don't have to always be there if they don't want to hear. And that's for anyone that gives anyone advice. If you've given someone advice concerning a matter, and he's given you a curse and get out of here, I don't want to hear it, shut your mouth, and all these matters, khalas, you are not obliged to continue to give him advice. Leave it at that. If he wakes up one day, then you can make it that you are approachable for him. Now, is there a ruling for women going to the grave after burial time? Is it okay for a woman to go to the grave regularly? It is permissible for a woman to visit the graveyard. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, أَلَا فَزُورُوهَا فَإِنَّهَا تُذَكِّرُكُمُ الْآخِرَةِ. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, initially at the beginning, he forbid men and women to visit the graveyard. Then he said, go and visit it because it reminds you of the afterlife. And this is general for both men and women. Of course, there are other opinions that suggest that it is forbidden, haram, for a woman to visit the graveyard. But the opinion that we choose is that it is permissible. And from the proofs is that Aisha radiyallahu anha, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam taught her the dua of visiting the grave. He taught the dua of visiting the grave to a female, to Aisha. So that means she's expected to visit and to say the dua. Wallahu alam. So the idea is that it is permissible for a woman to visit the graveyard, and not regularly. Here is where you need to keep away from. لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم said, لعن الله زوارات القبور. Allah has cursed the women that regularly visit the graveyard. So the regular visits and the frequent visits and the daily, weekly visits, keep away from that. But the visit from time to time, that is not organized or intended, just from time to time. She enters the graveyard, and under the condition that she doesn't cry and scream and wail and speak words that are displeasing to Allah and do matters and actions that are displeasing to Allah, if she can avoid all of this and go to the graveyard, and the only reason she went to the graveyard was to seek a reminder for herself for the afterlife, then no problems. Anything else, keep away from the graveyard altogether. The graveyard is only there so that we are reminded of the afterlife. You don't have to go to the graveyard to make dua for your loved one that is in the grave. You can do that in your salat. It's much better. You don't have to be there. Now, so if these are the conditions that you're going to follow, then there is no problem to visit the grave from time to time. Now, for the day of janazah, sorry? La, of course, the woman does not attend the burial. So as the person is being buried, the woman should not follow behind the men and go and squeeze and cramp up with the men and witness the burial of the person. La, that is forbidden. Rather, the woman should stay away, not come and witness the janazah, the burial. They can come later, after the burial, next day, whatever, they can come after that, except for the wife. If her husband had died, she has to observe 4 months and 10 days in her house, and she is not allowed to leave unless there is a necessity or a need. Now, can women go Umrah as a group without a mahram? The opinion that we choose concerning this matter is that it is forbidden for a woman to travel without a mahram, whether for Hajj or Umrah or anything else. نعم, لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم said it is forbidden for a woman who believes in Allah and the last day to travel except with a mahram. For that's a very clear hadith. It is a very clear hadith. And there is other opinions that exist. Some ulama mention that it is permissible for women to travel to Al-Umrah or Al-Hajj without a mahram, so long as they are among a safe environment and a group of women. Some ulama say that this matter is permissible. So those who say it is not permissible, they will say that the Umrah of a woman is correct, but she is sinful for going without a mahram. But her Umrah or her Hajj is valid and is correct and she doesn't have to repeat it. And those who say it's permissible, then khalas, al-Umrah is valid without any sin on her behalf. But it is best, wallahu alam, and safer to follow the direction and the authentic hadith of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and that is that a woman is supposed to travel with a mahram, Now, and there are wisdoms for this. Like what we gave in our lecture before about submission to Allah. Khalas. Once the hadith has reached, sam'an wa ta'ah, we listen and we obey. What's the wisdom? Why? But today we travel and it's very safe, and I don't know. That question you can ask Allah on the Day of Judgment. Don't ask me. This is al-hadith that is with us. That's what I bring to your attention, and it is authentic, and this is what is to best be followed. Now, and there are, of course, on the other side, they have dalil. Their dalil is that the wives of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, after his death, some of them would do Umrah, would go to Hajj with Uthman radiyallahu anhu and Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. So there is a narration that mentions that the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, after his death, did Hajj with Uthman radiallahu anhu and Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. And they say, there is the proof. The wives of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went and they didn't have any mahram and it was a safe travel and therefore it is permissible. But if that's the proof, then that could be refuted and questioned, because nowhere in the narration it mentions that they went without a mahram. And the fact that يعني Umar radiallahu anhu would send Uthman and Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, that's to honor the mothers of the believers. It's to honor the mother of the believers. So it is not allowed to use that incident to say, they went without mahram. Who told you they went without mahram? Is there anything directly that says without mahram? No. So it is assumed that they would go with their mahram. Now, can a revert visit the graveyard of her mother? Generally, we said women are allowed to visit the graveyard. However, she is or he is not allowed to make dua for the kafir, for the deceased kafir. Yani Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he asked Allah permission if he can visit his mother's grave. So Allah gave him permission. And he visited his mother's grave. Then he asked Allah permission to seek forgiveness for his mother. And Allah Azza wa Jal did not give him permission. Right? So it is allowed to visit the grave of a disbeliever, but it is not allowed to make dua for them that Allah bestow His mercy and forgiveness upon them. That will not be allowed now. Okay. What else do we have? Okay. Any question from here? We'll take something from here. So this is against Sunnah al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The brother is asking about conducting more than one Umrah in one trip. So a person goes, he does Umrah, then after the Umrah he comes out to Masjid Aisha, Tan'im, puts his ihram again and goes in and does another Umrah. This is against the practice of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam or Sahaba. Rather, the correct position on this is to say the Sunnah is to initiate a new trip for every Umrah. Initiate a new trip for every Umrah. And there's plenty of proof for this. For example, when the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam did Al-Hajj, and Aisha radiallahu anha, when they entered Mecca, she got her periods. She wasn't able to do a single separate Umrah. Rather, she fused her Umrah with the Hajj, and that's how she did her Hajj. When they finished Al-Hajj and they're on their way back to Al-Madinah, Aisha radiallahu anha was in an emotional state. She said to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, everyone goes back with a Hajj and Umrah, and I only go back with a Hajj. I want to do Umrah. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam stopped the entire group, and he sent her back to Mecca from that Masjid that's why it's called Masjid Aisha. He sent her back to do a Umrah, and he sent with her her brother, Abdul Rahman ibn Abi Bakr. Because Aisha and Abdul Rahman, both of them are the children of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Abdul Rahman doesn't put an intention for Umrah. He just accompanied her. So if there was goodness in it, he would have dressed, and the companions would have said, what are we going to wait for what? Let's just put our ihram and go in and do our Umrah and come back. We've got time. No one did that. And that's her brother. He accompanies her, and he doesn't even intend the Umrah because he had already done a Umrah for that trip. So initiate a new trip for every Umrah, and that would be the better thing to do. And during your time in Mecca, use it to do voluntary tawaf, or dua, or salat, or Quran. And there's plenty of goodness that you can do. That is the sunnah to be done. Na'am, Allahu a'lam. Anyone? Tafadhal. لا. لأنه he's asking, if a person missed to read Surah Al-Mulk before he sleeps, can he read it the next morning? No, because this type of worship is tied to a specific time. So the idea is to actually read it before sleep, right? And there is wisdom in this. That's going to take longer, but the ayat that are in there are very relevant to the night sleep. So it's intended for a sleep at the night, not the sleep of the day. It is intended for the sleep of the night. So if you missed, you do it the next night for a new night. But its time has gone. This is different to if a person, let's say, has a regular habit of praying the nights, and then he got sick, or he slept that night. He wasn't able to pray his night prayers. In that case, when you wake up and after sunrise, You can pray the rak'at that you used to pray at night. That's permissible. Let's say a person is regular upon al-witr. He prays witr every night. For that night, he slept early and he didn't wake up to pray it. He missed it. But he's regular on the witr. So this person waits until sunrise and then he can pray his witr. But he will pray it 2 rak'at, not 1 rak'ah. Because that 1 rak'ah is specific for the night. You'll pray your witr 2 rak'at. There's no problem concerning this matter. But the adhkar are set to a time. They have to be said in their time and not be moved around. Now, very simple. Just like any other obligation in our deen. This is my religion. I identify as a Muslim. This is my deen. This is my way of life. I invite you also to it. And there are things that I have to put priority before anything else. Salat al-Jumu'ah is a priority for me. These things you're supposed to be doing even before you apply for the job. Not throughout the job. Even before you apply, ask this question. How's it going with a Friday? Can I take Friday off, half the day off? Can I attend Salat al-Jumu'ah at least? If it gives you that space and that opportunity, khalas, bismillah, go ahead with that job. If it doesn't, leave it. Better for you, better for your deen. And Allah Azza wa Jal will replace it, bi'idhnillah, with something much better. So just be up in front and straight with it now. Okay. So brother is asking about the different sects. Sometimes Salafis and Wahhabis. We don't pay attention to what people have made up of names, right? Rather, we need to stick to what is authentic and traditional and what is found in the teachings of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So how do we find out? Very simple. Al-Muslim is supposed to be upon the teachings of the Quran, the teachings of the Sunnah, according to the understanding of the first 3 generations of Islam. The companions, their children, and their children, known as the companions, at-tabi'een, atba'u at-tabi'een. That's the pure, authentic Islam that needs to be followed. Everything else should not be followed, right? Everything else, whatever comes after these 3 generations, if it's in accordance to what came in the 3 generations, alhamdulillah. If it opposes it, we put it on hold and we do not follow it. Very simple. And so this is known as the way of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, right? This way is known as the way of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. So a Muslim is supposed to be a Muslim upon the belief of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Walhamdulillah. Now, question. This is from the Sunan of As-Salat. So al-wajib and the pillar is to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. So if you prayed, for example, Salat al-Fajr, Allahu Akbar, and you read Surah Al-Fatiha, and then just Allahu Akbar without reading anything, Salat is valid. Salat is valid, no problems. But don't make this a habit, because now you're missing a sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Read something after Al-Fatiha. But if you only read Al-Fatiha, As-Salat is valid. Now, one second. Tfaddal. You're next. Repeat. Salat al-Witr is being prayed in many different ways. The most authentic prayer of praying Salat al-Witr, firstly, depends on how many rak'at you want to pray. So what are you asking about? There's many ways. I'll give you. Okay, so 1 rak'ah is permissible. 1 rak'ah is permissible. That's an authentic way. 3 rak'at is permissible. It's an authentic way. And if you prayed 3 rak'at, you have 2 ways of praying it. You either pray 3 all in a row. So 1 rak'ah, 2 rak'ah, 3 rak'ah, and you only do 1 tahiyyat at the end. And then taslim. So you prayed 3 rak'at with 1 tahiyyat at the end. The other way is to do 2 rak'at and then do your tahiyyat and conclude that and then get up and pray 1 more. So that would be 3 all up. And there are some madhahib, I think Hanafi madhab, that would pray Salat al-Witr like the manner in which they pray al-Maghrib. And according to that opinion, it's permissible, valid, no issue, right? But now we try to teach to pray the prayers different to the obligatory prayers, right? Yani that's why even if we prayed the sunnah before al-dhuhr, if a person wanted to pray 4 rak'at before dhuhr, it's best to pray at 2 then 2, as opposed to praying 4 in a row, because then that would be similar to al-dhuhr. So there is a hadith, Salatul Layli wan Nahari mathna mathna. The voluntary prayers of the day and the night are to be prayed in 2s. So you do it in that case. Salatul Witr, you can pray 5 rak'at, all after each other, and 1 tahiyyat at the end. You can pray 7 rak'at, all after each other, 1 tahiyyat at the end. You can also pray 9 rak'at, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all after each other, and then only 1 tahiyyat at the end, and then taslim. And it is good to practice these sunan. Well, ulama rahimahumullah, they say, if a person practices a sunnah at least once, he is recorded from among that sunnah. So, introduce this into your life, at least once a lifetime. Pray 7 rak'at all in a row and 1 tahiyyat at the end. No, once a week, once a month, once, whatever it is. No. تفضل سؤالك. Are you finished? Of course it's valid. If you miss the dua is sunnah. Sunnah dua. So if you missed it, there's no issue, the prayer is correct. Okay, so is it like the BitTorrent, downloading from torrent and so on? The brother is asking about if it's allowed to watch movies that have been, what do they call it? What's the word? Pirate, yeah. And then uploaded on those torrent websites. And Seed and so on. I remember a long time ago. Anyway, fundamentally, these matters, we need to follow the instructions of the providers of these issues. So if the company has provided a matter and does not allow for people to do this, then it is not allowed to download it and to watch it and to benefit from it in this case. You got it? You just put yourself in their shoes, right? Let's say you had a business and you created something, right? You manufactured something and your neighbor copied the exact same thing you did, right? And it was a cheap copy and he sold it. Won't it upset you? Khalas. So therefore, do the right thing. Do the right thing. And then, watching movies and so on, we don't give a general ruling and say it's haram. It depends on what you're watching. If what you're watching is full of haram scenes, or it has haram scenes in it, and music, and nakedness, and mixing, and bad words, and so on, it becomes haram because of that. If you're watching National Geography, for example, or Animal Planet, you're watching a documentary about a lion or something, right? That's permissible to watch. So the idea of watching, it depends what you're watching. Some things could be halal, some things could be haram. And it's very simple for the normal Muslim to identify what's halal and what's haram concerning these matters. Stay away from it. Now, go and watch something beneficial, play something that is beneficial. Otherwise, purchase it so that you can avoid the sin of doing that which is wrong. Even if it is a kafir, we don't wrong against people because they are kuffar, for example. Right? Allah Azza wa Jal is just and He loves justice. And so this is what we are supposed to uphold in our life as Muslims. A Muslim is always honest and he behaves when it comes to dealings with others and relationships and so on. Now,
linking to that question, because I've heard that when you're wasting your time on something that's not beneficial, that's haram. So how do you know when you're gone overboard?
okay, that's a good question. The brother is saying, so if he's playing entertainment games or whatever it is, something halal, he's purchased, let's say FIFA or whatever it is, and he's playing, and he wants to know, when is it, when do I overdo it, when it becomes haram? Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تُلْهِكُمْ أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَلَا أَوْلَادُكُمْ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, do not allow your wealth and your children to distract you from the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jalla. If the halal game becomes a distraction from your obligations and your responsibilities, that becomes haram. The halal game becomes haram. if it distracts you from your obligations and your responsibilities in life. So let's say adhan al-dhuhr has taken place. You're still sitting on your iPad or whatever, Nintendo, and you're still playing. Salat al-dhuhr, adhan's gone. People have prayed in the masjid. Alhamdulillah, adhan al-asr is about to be called. You're still sitting praying. That halal game is haram right now, because it's distracted you from that which is obligatory. Right? You're sitting on the game and your mother is calling you. It is obligatory to go and listen to your mother and see what she wants. But now you decide to continue to play this halal game. This halal game now becomes haram, because it distracted you from a responsibility upon you, and that is to listen to your mother and go down and see what she wants. You understand? So that's how we're going to measure whether these things are permissible or not. Fundamentally, al-halal game is halal. But if it's distracting from an obligation or a responsibility, it becomes haram for that time. تمام? Okay. تفضلوا. تفضل. Question? Sorry? Okay. Oh, okay. So what did we mean? We mean by the concluding at-tahiyatu lillah. Yeah. نحن what we said. إنه if you're praying Salat al-Witr 5 rak'at, what I meant is that you pray 1 rak'ah, 2, get up immediately for the 3rd, for the 4th, for the 5th, and then at the end, after you've finished 5 rak'at in a row, التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات, and conclude your salat. So you've prayed 5 rak'at with only 1 sitting for at-tahiyat, and that's what we mean by what is acceptable and a correct version of al-witr. Now, how do we approach individuals that do innovations? Wallah ya akhi, yani, just like we approach anyone else when we give them advice. So people that are caught up with bid'ah, innovations or haram or sins or minor sins or major sins or whatever the case may be, we advise them. We teach them why this action is wrong and what the sunnah is. And I've done my part. Alhamdulillah. Khalas. At the end of the day, you're not responsible for the guidance of people. That is upon Allah. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam couldn't even get his own uncle to say La ilaha illallah. He couldn't even guide his own uncle. And that's the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But he was able to advise him. He was able to be there. He was able to say to him, say La ilaha illallah. So that's what we do. And the hearts is a matter in the hands of Allah Azza wa Jal. He guides whoever He wants. What is your opinion? Now I'm reading a question here. What is your opinion on posting images on social media? Let's see, this question came from a brother. Firstly we answer the matter based on a female posting images on social media. That is haram, forbidden, impermissible. And I don't know of any trusted scholar of today's time that ever said this was permissible. If there is, send me a link and I would like to hear this fatwa. A woman is supposed to be covered. Al-ulama, rahimahumullah, they are in differentiation among themselves as to whether a woman should be wearing a niqab or not. That's what they're differing about. So how could there be a fatwa that makes it permissible for a woman to post her face on social media? Some woman would then say, okay, I chose the opinion of not wearing the niqab, and that the niqab is only recommended and it's not an obligation. And that's how I choose to walk out in society. And so if people in public can see my face, what's the difference then if I took a picture of my face and I posted it online? See where the shaitan comes from? And so how do we answer this doubt? Very simple. We say that when you walk out in society, it is not in your choice. It is not in your choice to move the faces in the sight of people. Right? And so this is a natural matter. A woman walks out, the believers and those around are supposed to do the right thing and lower their gaze. But if they don't, you can't control this matter. But online you can control it. See, that's where the difference is. It's a click of a button. You control. You're in control of upload, delete, cancel, put, enhance, and so on. You got the controls. They're at your fingertips. So it is advised that the Muslim woman removes all her images from social media and doesn't leave a single image up there. Remove it all altogether. Bi-idhnillah, that's the correct thing to do. And there is great reward in this. And don't follow what people are doing. Don't follow what people are doing. What people are doing, the vast majority of what people do, most likely will always be wrong. As Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّوكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. If you follow the vast majority of people on earth, they will misguide you from the path of Allah. And so, a believer does that which is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, we have another question here. How should someone make up missed prayers that you are aware of? If you're aware of missed prayers, then make up for them as soon as you remember them. As soon as you remember them. How do you make up for them? So what is the case? The case is a person has missed a year of salat, for example, and he was aware that he missed 1 year of salat, like intentionally. The vast majority of ulama say that this person is supposed to make a tawbah and repeat these prayers, because this is a right owed to Allah Azza wa Jal. And as a result, you'll pray Salat al-Fajr, and then you'll get up and pray another one. You'll pray Dhuhr, and you'll get up and pray another Dhuhr. Asr, and you'll pray another Asr. And you'll do that for an entire year, and now you've prayed an entire year of missed prayers. And there is a minority opinion that mentions that a person who missed the prayers on purpose will only have to make a tawbah and doesn't have to repeat these prayers. And rather, the advice for him is to increase voluntary prayers in his life to make up for that which he missed. Wallahu a'lam. And the more safer opinion that I like to give is that anyone who has missed prayers and he can estimate, you're not going to get exact number, you estimate how many you missed, it's better to make up for them. And that's the vast majority of ulama, they mention this matter. Now, طيب. The question says here, when do the morning and evening adhkar begin and expire? The morning adhkar, they begin, it's recommended to begin after Salat al-Fajr, all the way until sunrise. That's the recommended time. If you did not make it in that time, there is an extended time which is until Dhuhr. And then the evening adhkar, they begin after Asr, all the way until Maghrib. That's the recommended time. And if you did not have time to say it within that time, then the extended time is from Maghrib until the end of the first third of the night. Okay. Salam, I believe niqab to be obligatory. Should I ask my wife to wear it? Might cause problems with her family. If the brother believes that the niqab is wajib and he orders and instructs his wife to wear it, then she must wear it. She must obey his instruction, because he is not calling her to a sin, rather he is calling her to a good matter and a matter that he believes is obligatory. Therefore, she should obey him and wear it. If her family get upset and she now is faced between a choice of her parents and her husband, very simply, the obedience of the husband is prioritized, and that is put above the obedience of the parents once a woman has married and finally moved to her husband's house. Now, inshallah, over time, Allah Azza wa Jal makes the matter easy. And how many times have we been approached with the same situation and a wife obeyed her husband? 1 week, 2 weeks, a month goes by, they get used to it, and khalas, things, يعني move smooth towards the end. It requires patience, and that's what life is full of, trials and tests. Now, do you physically have to wash your feet, or is it enough to wet them between the toes and the whole foot overall in wudu? So when it comes to the foot, the main thing is that water covers the entire limbs. Whether you rub the limb or you don't rub it, that's not a condition. The main thing is that water completely covers the limb. So if you got your right foot, let's say you got to your foot, and you dipped it into a swimming pool, or in a tub of water, let's say, and you put your entire foot in there until it reached the ankle, then you have washed your foot correctly. No issue. That's what you need to make sure of. But if you open a tap and you just move your foot underneath the tap, and Allahu Alam, maybe the water is not going to reach the heel and that. So perhaps if you're just running it underwater, you will need to rub the foot, especially from the heel and underneath the foot, so that you make sure the entire limb has been covered with water. That's your responsibility, to make sure that the limb has been covered with water. What is your opinion on niqab? Al-niqab is wajib, walhamdulillah. Any question here? Sorry? Organ donation. Oh, this is a big question. This is a big question, organ donation. But look, yani, I'll keep it very simple, but I can't cover everything with it. Organ donation, if there is a need for it, it's permissible, right? And there are conditions. If it doesn't harm you, then it would be permissible in concerning this matter. There is a difference of opinion. There's an extended argument concerning this matter. Some ulama say it's forbidden altogether. Because how can you know that if we, for example, removed one kidney and gave it to someone else, that in the future that doesn't harm you? So in the future your other kidney shuts down. You're in serious trouble, right? So there is an extended argument concerning this matter. And after death also, there is difference of opinion. Some ulama say after death, it is impermissible. Once again, there is an opinion that mentions it is impermissible to donate any kidney or any limb, because you don't own your body. Your body is owned by Allah, and it should be put in the ground, and that's it. And the other opinion suggests that if there is a need for this organ to be moved from the deceased body to a living body, and it is proven most likely that it'll be beneficial for the living body, and this living body is not a kafir that is at war with Muslims, so this is like a Muslim, or a kafir that is in peace with Muslims, like people that we live among in our societies, then if it's beneficial, they say it is permissible, right? But this, I'm just giving you a discussion. I didn't give you anything, right? When you have an actual situation, that's when you need to ask about it, and that's when you seek a fatwa for it. Because this one, it works according to case by case. So whenever an issue or an incident does come up in your life, then seek a fatwa and say that, Wallah, ana, my brother or someone has died, and there is this person that is in need of a kidney, and are we allowed to do that? And you get your answer on that day, inshallah. Now, hey. You know a lot. يعني هو generally النقاب is wajib, and the proofs for that are plenty. And the difference of opinion concerning whether it's wajib or not is extremely strong. And based on the fact that the opinions are very strong, we do not force anyone to anyone's opinion. So if a woman has chosen not to wear it based on the fact that she believes it's a recommended matter and it is not wajib, then we do not say to her that you're sinful. Well, it's not allowed to say to her that you're sinful. Khalas, she's adopted a very strong opinion in regards to this matter, and what she's doing is permissible, no issue. And if a woman believes it's fard, if she believes it's fard, and that's what she's convinced of upon reading the proofs, and there are many and plenty for that, then khalas, it is wajib, she must wear it. And if she removed it, she's sinful, because she believes it's wajib. You got it? Now, so we leave the people to make their own decision in this matter. Both opinions are strong, and one cannot say to the other, you're wrong. So even though I was asked for my opinion, I said it is fard. That does not mean that if I see a woman without a niqab, I will say to her, you are sinful for not wearing a niqab. Ma'adallah. That in itself would be a sin, to go around and say this to people. Right? So we leave this matter, and Allah Azza wa Jal would judge between us all. Now, the sunnah is to wear a imamah. The sunnah is to wear a turban. And to wear al-imam al-muhakkamah, the strong tied turban that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to wear. That's the type of sunnah when it comes to head covering. And any type of head covering that you wear, it's permissible. لكن Allahu alam, is it considered a sunnah or not? A sunnah is the turban. This is what a sunnah is. Now, if a person wore that, imitating the appearance of a Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, then he may do so. If you miss a fard prayer and then the next fard comes, you have to pray them in order. So you pray the first one and then you pray the next one. And this is an incident that happened with the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam and his companions on the day of Al-Khandaq. They were busy in combat with the disbelievers. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Shaghaluna an salat al-wusta." They distracted us from salat al-asr. May Allah fill their graves with fire. And salat al-asr had ended, and salat al-maghrib has entered. So he prayed al-asr first, and then al-maghrib. So you pray them in order if you missed it. Now, طيب, seems to be we can go on the whole night here, but we shouldn't be doing that. Jazakumullahu khairan for your attendance. May Allah Azza wa Jal reward you all. We took a lot of your time, inshallah. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to have made this gathering of benefit to all of us, to accept our gathering, to forgive our sins and shortcomings. Anything that I said that is wrong and incorrect, then that is from myself and a shaitan. And everything I said that is correct, then that is from Allah Azza wa Jal. And we seek forgiveness in Allah Azza wa Jal from the errors and the wrong that we do and that we say. Wallahu a'lam. جزاكم الله خيرا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.